Hi everyone, it's Nina. Thanks for joining me today for a new video tutorial featuring some really fun new Newton's Nooks Designs products. I'm going to be showing you how I created these really fun and adorable Christmas cards using some of Newton's Nooks' newest stamp sets. This video is also part of the Newton's Nook Deck the Halls with Inky Paws blog hop, and Newton's Nook is celebrating a whole bunch of really fun holiday projects over on their blog, and today is the culmination of all of those projects with a big celebratory blog hop. And there's quite a few guests that are part of the hop, myself included, and we're all sharing projects using holiday themed images from Newton's Nook. So I've got the Naughty or Mice stamp set, which is so fun and so adorable, and I've stamped these images down onto some Canson Bristol paper using some Simon Says Stamp Intense Black ink, and then I'm Copic coloring in all of the images. Now I'm not going to show you the coloring on every single image because I used the exact same colors on all of the images, and I use the same type of technique. So I'm just going to show you some of the highlights of the coloring. I did a bunch of very simple shading. I used about 2 to 3 markers for each shaded area of the images. I really liked this combination of reds that I've chosen for the card. I used a combination of R24, R46, and then a little tiny bit of R59. And I used that in the very darkest corners. And I really liked the tone of red that it gave on these images. Now for the mice, I chose 2 different shades for each of the mice. I chose an E30 family, so I used E30, E34, and then I used just a tiny bit of E39. Then on the other mice, I chose to use N0 and also some N2. And I didn't use a ton of shading. Here I'm trying to get that E34 and E30 to blend a little bit more smoothly, so I'm using the tip-to-tip technique, and I'm allowing the color of the E30 to be picked up a little bit with the E34, and then that creates a nice mid-tone between those 2 markers. I'm also adding some stippling detail to the darkest areas of the brown mice. For the gray mice, I didn't bother going ahead and adding too much stippling detail. I did add a little bit, but nothing too crazy. I used more stippling detail on the brown mice. So here's a look at how one of the mice looks when they're all finished, and then I'll show you a couple of quick highlights on the gray mice and how I colored them in as well. So here I'm bringing in the N0, and then I'll bring in the N2. And I liked the N markers for this particular mouse because it gave it a little bit more of a cooler tone without it being a really cool gray. It's also not as warm as the warm grays. And again, I'm doing that same tip-to-tip technique. This time I'm taking that N marker and adding in just a little bit of a darker N marker. I believe this one was N6. And I just added just a tiny touch of that N6 onto my lighter N marker and blended a little bit of darker color in there. I also added shading to the pink areas of the mice. Now you could color in their bellies and ears using browns or grays or whatever color you want to color the mice, but I really wanted to add a little bit of warmer pink in there. So I used R00 and then also some R11. And that adds a really nice tone to the center areas of the mice and gives them a warmer feel. Now all of their accessories I colored in mostly reds and greens. I did add a little bit of gray shading for the areas that I wanted to be white. And then on that piece of cheese, I did color that in with some yellow, and I did throw in a little yellow on one of the gift packages. So once I colored in all of my images, I took them through my platinum die cutting machine with the coordinating dies and cut each of those little critters out. Then I'm bringing in sentiments from 2 different stamp sets. I've got not only the Naughty and Mice stamp set, but I've also got the Sentiments of the Season stamp set, which has a ton of really great holiday themed sentiments included in that set, and they work really nicely with the sentiments that are in the Naughty and Mice set. I thought it was really fun to see what kind of pairing I can get with each of those sentiment sets and create some really cute custom greetings on each of my cards. So for this one in particular, one of my favorite sentiments from that Naughty and Mice set was the Squeakson's Greetings sentiment. I thought that was so cute. And I'm pairing that with the Holly Jolly sentiment that was included in the Sentiments of the Seasons set. I stamped that first sentiment down onto my white panel, which I cut with a memory box die. I used some red ink for that. And then the other sentiment is stamped onto a piece of green cardstock. This is Green Apple from Simon Says Stamp. And I cut that down into a little label strip. And I'm going to pop that up off of my card along with the mouse. And that gives a little bit of dimension off of this panel. To make sure that the mouse was grounded, and I did this on all of my panels, I added just a little bit of N0 and also a little bit of N2 just to add a little bit of shading underneath each of these animals to give them something to stand on because we don't want them floating in midair. So that's going to finish up the panels, and we're pretty much almost done. I created each of the panels the exact same way. Here you can see I'm taking one of the larger sentiments here from that Sentiments of the Season set, and I'm going to stamp this actually in 2 different colors. I'm masking off the bottom portion of this sentiment, and then I'm going to ink up the top portion with 1 color of ink. Once I've stamped it down, I'll take off the masks that I applied down along the bottom part of the sentiment and stamp that down again in a different color of ink. And I'll just mask off the top portion of the sentiment on this round. What this does is this creates a really nice tone effect on that sentiment, gives it something completely different and a whole new look. And I also like that it throws in some of the colors from the images into the sentiment. So you get a really nice variation in color on your sentiment that matches really nicely with the colors in your card. This Misty tool is so handy for being able to go ahead and do this double stamping like this and getting that two-tone effect on your greeting. And I even took one of the smaller sentiments from that Naughty and Mice set, and I'm stamping that down in some green apple ink. And like I said, all these colors really go so nicely with the colors that are in the images, and that helps draw in some more interest to these panels. And like I said, I created all the panels the exact same way. The only thing I did differently for each one is I laid them out a little differently. The mice are different on each individual card, and the sentiments are different on each card. The sentiments are not the same on every single card. So I finished up all of these little Christmas cards by taking some of Lawn Fawn's adorable Nitpicky pattern paper, which is one of my most favorite pattern papers right now. And I'm putting a whole variety of different colors of these pattern papers onto A2 cards. I've got mostly top folding A2 cards here, but I did have a couple of side folding ones as well. And then I'm going to take my little scalloped panels that have my sentiments and the mice on them, and I'm putting some double-sided adhesive on the back side of each of those panels, then layering a layer of foam tape on top of that. Once I have the foam tape attached, I'll add more adhesive to the back side and then plop the entire piece right into the center of my card. I kept these cards pretty simple after this and just added a little bit of glitter detail, some glossy accents, and some twine bows in both red and green, and that really finishes up these cards nicely. So I hope that you enjoyed this video and got some inspiration on using some of the newest products from Newton's Nooks Designs. I hope you will head on over to my blog to get more information on these cards, including the Copic colors that I used on these images. And I also hope that you will head on over to my blog to get more information on the blog hop. This blog hop is really fun and has a ton of great designers participating. So you'll have lots of inspiration using some Newton's Nook favorites that have just come out for the holiday season. Thanks so much for stopping by and spending some time with me today. I hope you will come back soon for another video tutorial. Until then, have a great day and I will see you soon. Bye!